when one of the most spiritually aware and medically advanced ancient cultures on the planet reveres an herb, in this case a pollen, for thousands of years, there's usually good reason to believe there is something special about it. Such is the case with pine pollen, an extremely potent, healing and nutrient-dense superfood. Off the radar compared to much less fantastic and far more popular herbs of these days. With over 200 bioactive nutrients, vitamins and minerals and amino acids in high concentrations, pine pollen is easily one of the most important and beneficial herbal medicines on the planet. One of the few substances on earth that has the ability to stimulate measurable testosterone and hormonal production in male and female. Pine pollen has been a treasure of traditional Chinese medicine and neighbouring Asian cultures for at least 5,000 years. Known as a master rejuvenator and adaptogen, the herb has quickly become known to the wider world in recent years. But just what exactly is so special about it? To understand that, we need to look closely at its origins. Pine pollen is just that, the pollen of pine trees. Pollen is actually a form of a seed, and like all seeds, it contains the fundamental nutrients and essence necessary to grow a 100-foot plus tree that can live for at least a century. As such, it contains an incredibly wide spectrum of high concentrations of unique and rare nutrients that will work on the body just like it does in nature. It can promote rapid growth, rejuvenation and healing. So much in fact that it is widely considered to be the top medicine in the world for such properties. In Asia, pine pollen is traditionally known as a Jing enhancing herb, which means vital essence or life force. Herbs classified as Jing tonics are typically used in cases of weakness, burnout from stress or exhaustion, sexual imbalances, infertility, low libido, erectile dysfunction, etc. You get the picture. In any case, where there was a need for a deep rejuvenation and nourishment, the Taoists believe that they are born with a certain amount of Jing, and when it runs out, we die. So the handful of herbs able to cause the accumulation and restore Jing energy are to be looked upon as superfoods and supertonics, of which pine pollen is said to be one of the greatest. In addition to all its other medicinal healing properties, one of pine pollen's greatest benefits is that it is also nutrient-rich food containing hundreds of vitamins, minerals and enzymes that nourish the body at a fundamental level. It is particularly rich in B vitamins and amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein and heavily influence neurotransmission and mood. But perhaps the most important and unique property and benefit of pine pollen is the ability to harmonise and powerfully rejuvenate the endocrine system, which is a rare ability in the plant world. Pine pollen is nature's most powerful androgen, which essentially translates to a substance that stimulates testosterone in the male and progesterone or estrogen in the female. If you are a woman, don't let this scare you. The reason pine pollen is such powerful androgen is its large part because it's only natural source of the wonder hormone, DHEA, which is the precursor to most hormones in the body, guys. If you can make DHEA, you can make all the other hormones. They all start with progesterone. Because of its effect on the endocrine system, the hormonal system, which is entwined with the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems of the body, pine pollen is able to influence the lungs and boosts the immune system and beautifies the skin. Two areas that are both controlled by lung organ system in Chinese medicine. It's a kidney tonic, which means that it's highly rejuvenative to the brain, the air, the bones, the endocrine system, which are controlled by the kidney organ. It's a liver tonic, which stimulates liver regeneration and regulates bile secretion. Bile saponifies and emulsifies fat, all the fat that you eat, which are controlled by the liver organ system. It's a heart tonic, which increases cardiovascular endurance, raises blood levels of superoxide dismutase, an antioxidant, and lowers cholesterol. It's also a spleen tonic, which nourishes the muscles and increases metabolism, which are both governed by the spleen organ system. It is not altogether surprising that pine cones are almost identical in shape to the pineal gland, the master hormone and consciousness regulating endocrine gland in the body, found in the middle of the brain. As such, mystics and occultists throughout history have used the pine cone to symbolically allude the pineal gland. Moreover, recent animal studies have shown that DHEA does significantly boost melatonin production in the pineal gland, which regulates circadian rhythms, our sleep-wake cycles, which are often thrown out of balance by synthetic lights from the various screens we tend to be surrounded with these days. Furthermore, any plant growing wildly in its natural habitat tends to accumulate Shen energy. According to Taoist philosophy, Shen roughly translates to the spiritual quality of essence of all things. Due to their massive size and abundance, pine trees are rarely cultivated, which means that pine pollen is almost always wild harvested, and therefore is traditionally a Shen-rich plant, even though it's a tree, complementing its positive effects on hormonal levels, which are the master regulators of the expression of consciousness in the body. One of the primary benefits of pine pollen is that it tends to make us more connected to nature, our bodies, our essence, and our spirit. Pine pollen has the ability to obviously influence the androgenic system. It may be worth noting here, guys, if you're going to use pine pollen to increase muscle size and strength and endurance, or anyway use it to enhance your workouts, that a study by the University of Southern California found that actually after the age of 40, guys do not decrease producing their testosterone, but their testosterone levels decrease because it's bound up by sex hormone binding globulin, SHBG. This is a plasma protein produced by the liver. It's produced in males and females, that sits on the testosterone in the bloodstream, stopping it from sitting on receptor sites in your muscles. One way to bypass this that's been found effective is to use nettle root along the course when you use pine pollen. So as you use pine pollen, use the nettle root at the same time. And this will also inhibit the activity of aromatase, an enzyme that captures testosterone and converts it into estradiol, which to you and me is estrogen. Nettle root is also a tonic to the prostate, so it will stop the prostate enlarging at the same time. An interesting thing to note is that pine pollen has a thick cell wall to allow it to remain intact through the often arduous journey of aerial dispersal from the comb buds. As such, it's important to look for cracked cell wall products, guys, which simply means that the pollen has undergone gentle processing, typically via concentrated air currents, to crack open tough outer cell fibrous walls, which allow for a significantly greater bioavailability of the nutrients within the pollen cells for use by the body. While this is not essential, for example, in the case of wild harvesting yourself, I have made many pine pollen tinctures. If consuming non-cracked cell wall pine pollen, you may need to increase your dosage to compensate for the partial lack of bioavailability. It is also important to note that androgens such as testosterone and DHEA can only be absorbed into the bloodstream under the tongue or in the esophagus. This will not survive the stomach and will be readily excreted by the liver. This means that you get the maximum benefit from pine pollen. It's best mixed with the raw powder with a tiny bit of water and held under the tongue. Otherwise, choose a tincture, guys. Tinctures are very effective with pine pollen.